It's Dorothy Kelly with today's show. Now I'm talking about a term that you might have not ever have thought about, and that is legacy. On another show I'll talk about our personal legacy, but today I want to talk about what I am titling collective legacy. Collective, a group. Who's the group? Our audience, women in their 60s and older. Now let's think about the time frame of this group to start with. So right now, there could still be people that were born in the 20s. In the 20s. So our demographic over 60 could go from the 20s until the 60s. Let me break it down a little bit for you. From 25 to 1945, so these would be people aged 77 to 97. There are so many women and men that fit in that time frame. That was called the silent generation. Now, we're not getting into what that means so much today, but you could certainly look it up online if you're in that group and say, well, what does that mean, silent? I didn't think I was silent. But our next group are born from 45 really to the 60s. And that's what has been called the leading edge baby boomers, because there are people that were born after 60 that are in the boomer population, but they didn't quite, grow up in that same time frame with the same mentality that we did. So generally, the leading edge boomers are age 62 to 77. That's a big time frame, isn't it? From age 62 to 97. So you might think, well, what is the commonality among them? And what are the differences? Well, they're as broad as there are minutes in an hour. We all have had so many different lifestyles, haven't we? Where we grew up, how we were raised, did we have children, what was our job? We were all over the board, but we were just living our life. And it was all okay. What was great about the boomers that I was part of is we loved this saying, my way. We wanted to self-determine how we were going to live our life. And a lot of us did for quite a time frame, but maybe we then fell back into some of the more social norms, the general ones, when we had the family. But still, we strove to be individuals. So the range of what we've done in the past is so broad. But I want to share with you one big commonality amongst us right now. And I know it's not going to be a surprise. Guess what? We are all aging. Now, it's not just us, is it? You're born, the next day you're already aging, you're day one, and on and on. Now, I know that sounds silly, but things really change when you get into your 60s. You start to really look at your life and assess, have I done all the things I wanted to do? A lot of people don't like this term. I do. What about your bucket list? Are there still things that you want to do? Accomplishments that you want to make? An impact that you want to make on the world? So how am I tying this into the word legacy? To me, legacy means what is it that we are leaving behind when we leave this planet? So collectively, and our goal, one of our goals at WTV 60 is to make sure that as we age, that we are leaving the world in a better place. Think of all the goods and services that we are going to need in the next 10 to 30 to 40 years. Housing, which might not exist right now in a way that we want it. And you know what I mean if you've ever visited somebody in a nursing home or a long-term care facility, and you went in and said, I'm not living in a place like this. Now, I don't want to badmouth those groups because they do such hard work to care for people that are infirmed or the elderly. And I give this group collectively a lot of credit. but it's a big job to create housing and the needs that are going to go along with it, right? The laundry care, the food, activities, what have you, for all of these aging people. So who's going to take care of us? That's my big question, which was why I really was passionate about starting WTV60. Remember our tagline, leading a conversation for aging? I'm not seeing a lot right now. I'm not seeing big planning at many levels of how people, remember they said about the boomers, it was 70 million. That's just the boomers. Think of how many people that are older than the boomers. How are we all going to be cared for? We believe at our network that it's up to us to start thinking and planning and making decisions of what and how and where we are going to age. Can we do it? Of course. Especially the boomers. Remember one of our attitudes was I can do. When we made decisions for our life, life-changing decisions, we need to step up again and start thinking into the future. So it's not only about where and how we're living, but it's also about what we're doing with our time and what impact we are making on the world and on our country and on our own lives. It's up to us. See, we can decide our future. As a group or on an individual level, at some point in the history books, won't it be written, well, what did that group do as they aged? What's interesting, a dynamic, I know a lot of you already know. When I said the baby boomer number, 70 million, I read also that the millennials have about the same number. So here are two large groups of people with the same number, not demographic, not attitude, not behavior, not experience, not thoughts necessarily, but could we start creating a synergy amongst us that we can look at the needs of the aging population and of this millennial population that's really just getting going in their lives? I think we can do it. I think we're ready for a challenge because here we are. We're in a third phase of life. Why third? First, we went through our formative years. We had our education, took us into the 20s, maybe into the 30s. Remember that statistic that's so surprising that the brain is not fully developed until age 25. So if we think of that first third from born to 30, then we have what is the raising the family and our main working years, 30 to 60. Voila, here we are in this third phase. You know, there's a lot going on right now, aren't there? A lot of challenges, especially with the COVID. It could be really easy to be discouraged about your present and your future. But think about it. You still have the right to decide what you're going to do with your time, your money, your life, your talent, your energy. You have control of your health. We can still make decisions that are best for us. We can improve our life. At the very least, we should be maintaining our life. All the opportunities and the options that we could want, they're still there for us. We get to choose. If there's something in your life that you don't like right now, what are you going to do about it? See, thinking of the word collective, that statement is almost like a separate ideology, but together, all of us choosing of what impact that we're going to have on ourselves and on our family, friends, society, etc., collectively will make a I don't know, a statement, I guess, that becomes in the history book of how did all of these people age. How did they protect the resources? How did they create housing? How did they live in harmony? Whatever it is that can really help support the majority of us. It's really something to think about. As we bring together our content, we're going to have much more around this topic of aging. Are we aging in place? Are we going to need a facility? Remember the commune area? Idea? You people in the 60s with me? Should there be joint housing in that stage? When we look at people that have big houses, 3-4 bedrooms, does it work for them to bring other people into their household and share their resources? There's a lot of ways we can be creative as a group and rely on ourselves to self-determine our future, not waiting for society to tell us how we're going to age, not waiting for government to give us the solution, because if we don't step up, government does like to step in, don't they? We're very lucky that we have ARP. Now, first off, let me say, there are many, many websites out there with content for women in their 60s and older. I'm like new to the field in comparison, but ARP has been a leader for how long? It's almost overwhelming for me when I go onto their website to try to glean all of the knowledge that they have there. But they have resources, and we can really benefit by looking up topics that are of interest to us where we can see what's available. They talk about jobs. I don't remember too much about housing, but clearly they have a lot of links to various job platforms and information. So in closing, I would say we grew up in a time where we really wanted to change. We wanted to change attitudes, beliefs. We wanted freedom. We were optimistic. We were rebellious. We started believing in personal development. We wanted prosperity, and we wanted opportunities. And don't we still? And we can get them. We can have them. We can take steps. Make the choices. I love that word. Life is all about choice. When you wake up in the morning, from then on, it's a choice. Now, you could have an appointment. You have your routines. You could have a date, a luncheon, what have you. But there's so much time throughout the day where you really are actually making a choice. You think, oh, I'm just doing my habit, but it's still a choice to continue on with that habit. So stay tuned as we continue to explore this concept of collective legacy and see if it's possible for our group to become more supportive and collaborative. And what is most important, a word I haven't used yet, is become part of a community. It's so easy as we get older to lose touch with people that were very important to us at one point in time. People move away, people lose interest, they become homebodies. A lot of things can happen, and our communities can just kind of fade away over time. And our goal, one of our goals, we have many at WTV 60, is to bring together in a collective way a community of women who care about themselves, others, and the planet, and want to join in and see what they can do to create this big collective legacy. That's it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.